Okay, you lovely lot, so it's my turn for a catch up, and you'll be pleased to know I'm still fishing matches, folks. I'm absolutely loving my matches. Well, some more than others, but more about that later on. Weather-wise first, let's go through the weather. It's proper on the turn at the minute. Carp are starting to have a feed. F1s have been thinking about doing rudies. It's just amazing. But let's go back to sort of 3 weeks ago when I left you at my last one, which was Harrenbrook. And the week after was at Hough. That's the next one. And it's one of them really cold at nights, you know, sort of like scraping the van in the morning, like ice on it and everything, and then proper up through the day. Hough's only like 5 or 10 minutes away from me. I've got my caravan there, you know, Kevin's there. I could have done bacon butties for everyone and made a fortune. It's more than a blooming did fishing anyway. But where did we draw? We drew on peg 3 on prospect, which I have fancied it, to be fair. Prospect, I wanted prospect, or I thought either West Sutty, the specialate with large portions of catfish, or Big Macs. One of them 3 I thought would do well. But the beauty of Hough, you didn't really know where you wanted to be, you know what I mean? It's one of them. It could have got one anywhere. So 3 on prospect. I had Matty Dawes next peg, young whippersnapper. He challenged me to a pound and all that, and he filmed it on his Instagram and that. So we've started off, what we've done, we started off like mugging, but just like a pellet, not feeding anything, just like big flip rig on, and I've had probably 3 in the first like hour, so it's ticking over nicely. Connor on peg 1, he's probably had 5 or 6 by now, so he was doing all right. And then it's just gone dead iffy, you know, it's flat calm anyway, but then the sun's got really high in the sky and it's gone dead bright. So I started slapping the pellet, wasn't right, couldn't get a bite on it. So then I've gone back to just like normal dobbing rather than like a flip rig, so I can place it in the reeds, and I picked up a couple. I was feeding the short line with pellets, that wasn't really happening. In fact, I never had a bite on it. It's like blooming 6 foot, like my top kit and one on, it's proper deep. But all the while I've been priming my head swim with ground bait, ready to fish corn over it, because it's one of them on there. The matches normally, they're done by like 3, 3:15, and you always get them carp coming in sort of like 2:30 onwards. So as soon as you're packing up, like it's tails waving at you down the edge. So I knew I'd get like a good, hopefully an hour on them. So I've been feeding it all the time. Matty started catching, slapping a pellet on reeds. He had like 2 swims on the go at 16 metres. But I kept trying. I couldn't catch on it. I couldn't catch slapping at all. So like 90 minutes to go, I've looked down my edge, not had a sign, and then like as I was fishing, a massive big bow waves come out of my head, so I just decided to stay on that. Matty's picking up like the odd carp and that. And then with sort of 40 minutes to go, I'd say 35-40 minutes to go, they started to have a feed, and I managed 5, including one big wobbly thing, which is like just short of 14 pound. But I lost 3 pulling them too hard, which is like, might cost me this. It didn't in the end, but it's one of them, you know, when you think you're miles behind, which I thought I was, because Connor had done well on the on peg 1, and then Matty had done well. He always does. But then I thought it was miles behind, so that's why I pulled a little bit hard. And it turned out that Connor had 79 pound, I had 76 pound, and Matty had 82 pounds. So he got the golden nugget. But it was like it was a nice steady day's fishing. Our lake probably fished the best. Opposite me there was an 80 pound, and I think Dave Brown on the M peg, which would be 14 or something like that, I think he had a 90 pound. But Andy Bridge won that one. Well done, mate. Awesome to see you in the final, pal. He's had 140 pound from Big Mac. So, you know, it's one of them. I've probably lost 3 fish. I'd have got me nugget off Matty, but at 15-20 pound at the most. So nowhere near on that one. And then on to, where did we go after that? Lakeview. I drew peg, spat everywhere then. I do apologise, folks. I drew peg 2 on Serpent. I was on 3. Either 2 or 3 on Serpent, which was, oh, it proper did me head in, folks. I was right behind the cafe. All I could smell was like bacon sandwiches on the go all the time. I told them to like turn the cooker off because it was just like impeding me fishing. I couldn't concentrate, folks. I couldn't concentrate. But Lakeview, knowing the lake, I've fished it sort of 7 or 8 times over the last few years, all in big match, all in qualifiers. And if you know the lake, you know what to expect. It's one of them, you've just got to take it really patient with the feeding. Not my biggest forte, because I do love to put feed in. So I've just started off across, you know, tapped in a few pellets, and I've managed sort of 3 or 4 little stockers in that, and then you don't get a bite. It's one of them, you've just got to know to like come off it and go somewhere else. So I think I've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've had 6 pegs on the go, literally tapping a few pellets on each one and then just moving round. And I managed to pick like odd stockers up throughout the day. I've ended up with 35 pound, which was it was all right from my end of the lake, but there were a couple of 60s on my lake and a couple of 40s as well. So overall, no good. Size skeleton won that one with 70 odd pounds, so not a chance on that one. But you know, it's one of them lovely days fishing, and the smells are amazing. Proper put me off. After that, we went to Western Pools, where I got drawn 6 on weir. You know, it's one of them, obviously, speaking to people. I don't really, I fish Western a bit, but I never really fished weir, other than when Jay smashed me up in that live match. But where you've got 6, it's sort of like facing that way, and then 5 sort of facing this way, and like 4, all the pegs are in. So, you know, we're a little bit cut off, whereas opposite, you know, they had a lot more room. Big Alan was on there, but he wasn't fishing at Lehman Lake. He won our lake. I won't dwell on this one. He won our lake with 70, I want to say 76 pound. It might have been 79, might have been 77. But he comes second in the match to that blooming fast talking bloke who like tends to win everything. But no, it was his birthday, so awesome, absolutely awesome was up for Jamie, proper made up for him. I ended up with, I won some tokens actually. I won my section. I had 53 pounds, I think, something like that. I've had a couple of carp early on, and then I've had a few F1s and that, but I couldn't really get anything going. You catch one and then you just have to come off it and go somewhere else. Most of my fish have come off like a shallowy flick rig, but not like a proper little dinky float shallow rig. It's like a through the watery Chianti style one. I don't want to go too much into it. And that was my best rig by far, you know, set about 2.5 foot, feeding maggots at my pole tip and then flicking the rig out. Fished it like 14.5 metres. I had a good peg to peg battle with Cole Scott. And I must mention the lad on the other side of me on peg 5 was Carl Wood, who I've drawn in the next round of the Fishing Association match. So I wish it'd have been that one, because Carl didn't actually weigh in. He's had a few fish like, so I wish I'd have had the match on that, but you know, I've got my match against him on the 22nd of this month at Partridge, so fingers crossed for me, and I hope you blank, Cal. But yeah, no, Cole Scott, he's had 50 pounds, so I've just done him on that one. And then where did we go to after that? We went to, I think I did a live match. Yes, we did a live match. Remember, it was only a live match at Mescal Fisheries on I keep forgetting the name, Marine Lake. Loads of skimmers and carp, so more about that later. You'll see how we did on that. And then to yesterday, and this is the one that's proper done me head in, folks. So Fisho qualifier at Harrenbrook yesterday. I've had a right chance. I've drawn 9 on meadow, and the next peg to me was peg 12. So I've had loads of room, and like it's weird on 9 on meadow, you're on like a bend. So I was sort of like fishing like back to water. In fact, it was like this. I was fishing like that way. I was facing that way, but I was fishing that way. I mean, like it's banking that way, but there was water in front of me yesterday, I promise, folks. So you're on like a bend. It was like weird, and you know, obviously grill Jamie for information, as I always do wherever I go. Even when I'm coaching, I'll bring him up saying, "Jay, I'm not catching. What do I do?" So it's because you're rubbish, Andy. That's why. I don't really. So I've started off across, tapping a few pellets in, and after 20 minutes, I've had like, I think I've had 2 fish. You know, not even getting liners or anything. So I've dropped into 3 foot and started giving it a little bit of bait. I didn't put loads in. You know, I was under strict orders not to feed loads of bait, and I didn't, folks. I promise. So I was just pinging out sort of 8 to 10 pellets, 4 mils, see if I could make something happen, but nothing was happening. There's little F1s wanting to do naughty things in the reeds, but they weren't feeding or anything like that. I fed meat at sort of top kit and 2 down the middle, which was my banker swim. You know, I set up 2 top kits for that just in case, and you know, after a couple of hours, I'd only got like 5 or 6 fish in the net. It was a red hot day. It was like overcast and muggy as well. But when that sun come out, it was red hot, and you know, I kept seeing these like clouds coming up off the bare banking, because it's all changed now, the banking. So I've been putting like a little bit of ground bait in there and down the edge. It's exactly the same depth, but it was so steep. I had to fish a real heavy rig, you know, real positive rig, and fish over depth and real pin it in. And it was one of them, you'd get a fish, but then you couldn't go back in and catch another one. I've tried 4 milli pellets, like a hard bait, so it'd stick on the slope. That wasn't right. I tried like stodgy micros to like, again, pin it on. That wasn't right. By far the best was ground bait, but it's one of them, obviously, when the fish come in, you know, you get the bite, the ground bait's dispersed everywhere. So it's obviously, it's gone down the slope and that, but there weren't loads of fish coming in. It had like 4 foot everywhere. And when I hooked one, you know, there was no bow waves coming off, so there wasn't loads of fish around. The fish were between sort of 10 and 11, I'd say. So it'd been a nightmare to try and fish for them. You know, I'd have been having 10 metres trying to get over the path into the lake. So I've ended up 3 hours in, I've only probably got 8 or 9 fish, you know, hardly anything. But then they've rocked up a bit down the edge. I could manage sort of like 2 or 3 fairly quick, and then it just got quiet, nothing. So then I go back across, I'd get like 1 or 2, and I just kept alternating between them. Can't get me words out. Alternating between them 2 swims, and it proper come good. I've ended up with £104, but I was 6 with that. £112 won it. There was 211s, I think 109, 106, and then me. Is that a 6? That's 6, isn't it? I can't remember. But yeah, so close. And obviously, the last 2 fish I've had, they were both sort of £5 or £6 carp, and you know they proper rocked up. So looking back, obviously there's probably 9, 10, 11 of us who were like in with a proper chance yesterday, and you know, it does you any things like that. But that's why we keep going. You know, you're fishing all these qualifiers, and you know, when you do get a chance, you just got to take it. And unfortunately, folks, I didn't take my chance. But it's just one of them things. That's fishing for you. You know, we'll carry on going. Where have we got next? I don't know. I'm going to try and get a ticket for Makins, but if not, my next one is, I don't know. I think it's it's a Maver. Where is it? Partridge match this on the 22nd against Carl Wood. Carl, I hope you blank. But yeah, that's my catch up. So hope you've enjoyed it, folks. See you later. Let's go catch some catfish. Yeah.